My name is Margaret Ann Windsor, and I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace in 41 and brought to Moulton, Alabama, and given the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey, and I married a children, Carl Preston Dempsey. His name has been used in the mind control murders. And Peggy, the name that they gave me, they stole my identity, and they were both murdered by their mother, Lina Dempsey. They were born out of wedlock, and I was actually put in like a pigsty. So I can't give you all the information. I do that in other videos since Alexis Murphy's abduction and assumed murder. They haven't found her body, but I've forgotten his name now. Taylor, his last name's Taylor, has been found guilty of the murder, and he's in prison. Anyway, if you follow me, it's a little hard on this one. I'm not going to lay out my father's picture and who helped take him down and helped kidnap me and all that. It was a New World Order, some of my family over there. The Brits are the ones that have tried to help me as bad as their situations have been. Now, I'm just going to give you a little bit of, these are like, I wrote a book on mind control back in, actually 76 to 80, April Fool's Day, when I had antifreeze put in me and I should have died. It was, I don't know how, it was hell, but there's been throughout my life, and I found out in 83, my real name, Windsor, Margaret Ann Windsor, and why this was all happening. I thought it was because of the book, and I wrote about mind control and being done in patterns, and I wrote about Larry McDonald, who was a U.S. congressman, physician at Piedmont Hospital, some murders there, and mind control. And I mentioned, I was researching, I really did, and I put this on the YouTube videos, this part about, I think I entitled it before this, about the Ebola and Center for Disease Control came about. I titled the videos, there was a couple of them, does the CDC work for you? But I mentioned them in the book, and I had the antifreeze put in me, and I will say this, I was illegally taken across the state line from Atlanta, Marietta, Georgia. By the way, Larry Flint, Hustler Magazine, was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and I was living in Marietta in 78 at Moonraker Apartments. The name of the book was MD, A License to Kill. Mr. Flint, the guy that programmed him and was programmed to shoot Mr. Flint, and killed his attorney in Lawrenceville. Later, when the plane went down carrying Dr. Congressman Larry McDonald, and all aboard that KAO were drowned in the ocean, he flew me out there, Mr. Flint did, and I ran in a campaign to replace Larry McDonald. And then after then, I literally just got thrown on the side of the road in the street, and I ended up here in Roanoke. And I'll say this before I go on. The mass shootings, the odd thing is there's a lot of murders that happen, or deaths and murders that aren't done in patterns and aren't done by mind control. Mind control is invisible, and it's hard to prove. These murders I've spoken about and told over the years were deliberately done. The agency that did them did it deliberately. So now then, I want to say this, the murders, there's a list more than that, and they're not mass, they're more singular, and nobody mentions them, or mind control, is the Virginia Tech shooting, the mass shootings, 33, April the 16th of 07. Now then, I wanted to go to this, and you have to have a database, and you have to have more than this to kind of, it's almost like a genealogy sheet, or, to give you show you how it's done and where it's coming from. So the fact that it can be done is what should concern everyone, and the fact that it's not being told, the media is not telling, and part of that is because of the kidnapping of me and who did it and what they've done to me. And it's the New World Order, the Illuminati, which is Rockefeller's Rothschilds, Joe Kennedy, my uncle George VI. Elizabeth is part of the New World Order, and she's illegal. All right. Now I want to get to this. I lived on the Appalachian Trail simply because I had to. I froze, I starved, I walked up and down the side of the road. I went back to Atlanta hitchhiking, hope I didn't get killed, because I was, any money or jobs were shut down for me. And I ended up staying up on the Appalachian Trail just to live, and I froze and starved. And all I can say here is that Eric Rudolph was one of the mind control murders. I was living at a motel here briefly, the Olympic Inn, when Eric Rudolph was programmed to do the Olympic Park bombings in Atlanta. And Alabama's where they took me, to Moulton, Alabama, when I was kidnapped. Gave me the name of the twin. And he also was programmed to do the abortion clinics there, murders. Now then, Eric Rudolph lived on the Appalachian Trail. He even came here to Roanoke. And my understanding, the guy that gave me, when I could afford it, cab, actually had him in his cab once. But Eric Rudolph was from North Carolina, lived out in the forest and tried to survive. And a policeman named Murphy, I think his first name, was Scott Murphy, was the one that found him at 4 o'clock. No, his first name was Scott, and it was in Murphy, North Carolina. And he was the one that actually spotted and caught Eric Rudolph. Remember, Eric Rudolph is under mind control, the program to do what he's doing. Okay, now then Eric, and I'm not going to give his last name, he was law enforcement for the forestry, and his name was so involved in what happened to me here on and off. Now then you've got this man that was just arrested up here in Pennsylvania. Well, and I believe he's from Pennsylvania, but anyway, he was a survivalist. He was programmed. His first name's Eric Matthew Frein. All right, then you go from there, that when I moved in here 3 months ago, where I'm at now, the neighbor that was moved in here, really moved in here deliberately, was Ramsey. Their last name was Ramsey. She constantly talked about her grandson over in West Virginia named Matthew. The date that they moved from here was about the time that Hannah Graham was killed. Well, yeah, they found her body. And Jesse Matthew is the one that has been arrested for her abduction. And forensic will link it back, they say, to Morgan Harrington murder. Were both students. One at Virginia Tech and one at University of Virginia. What links it really is the links I'm talking about, the mind control done in patterns. Also links to Alexis Murphy, who was from Lovington, near Charlottesville, University of Virginia. Now there's a Randy Taylor, who's in prison for her killing and abduction, but they haven't found her body yet. Now then, the Ramsey that lived next door to me, where part of this was moved in deliberately and then moved out, that the couple were, where the Matthew comes in, and there's more references to Matthew, the name Matthew, but their last name was Ramsey, as in John Benet Ramsey, who that was a programmed done in patterns.